Hey, yeah, hello. Welcome, everybody. I'm Tara, founder of D&D in a Castle, and I am super excited to be talking with Clint McElroy today, one of our dungeon masters for our upcoming castle this fall. Good afternoon, Clint, or whatever time of day we are coming from.
Let's just say good day,
Good
because I
day.
don't. No, it's afternoon. It's afternoon where I am. And hello to you, Tara. How are you?
Hello, welcome. Well, I'm really excited to be here and chatting with you. We've been looking forward to this opportunity to get together and gush about the castle and gush about Clint McElroy and hopefully make him very uncomfortable with our praise. So, so welcome to everybody who's watching. We're getting to know about Clint and about the castle, about D&D in a Castle, and about the campaign that Clint is preparing for his players at D&D in a Castle this fall, November 3rd to 7th in the UK. So Clint, I am introducing a fun little round to get us started on this interview. I've prepared a couple of quick fire questions that I'm going to ask you just answer off the top of your head to give a little context about, who you are in D&D and who you are in general, and just get to know you a little bit before we dive into the heart of matters. So
This
the
should
first
be
question.
terrifying for you.
All right. And if, by the way, if you have questions, people who are watching, please drop them in the chat. We will pick them up throughout the interview, and whether they're for me or for Clint or for both of us, or about the castle, about the game, about the adventure zone, about whatever you want to ask us all about. So the first one is, I think I just answered it for you. What are you best known for in Dungeons and Dragons?
Probably the Adventure Zone. Yeah, the podcast I do with my sons, Justin, Travis, and Griffin. We've been doing it for, a little over 10 years now. And that Adventure Zone in general, the podcast is a blast. The live shows are a blast. And we have a series of graphic novels that we're very proud of. And so, yeah, it took me, half a century and more to finally find my destinies. I found my destiny.
Your destiny was in D&D all along.
Destiny all along. Yep.
Lovely. And I'm sure there are some Adventure Zone fans watching today. Shout out, hello, if that's you watching in the chat today. Second quick fire question. Other than Dungeon Master, what is or was your vocations? I know we've all had multiple careers. You can maybe list your top three that you have done.
Radio was the first job I had was working in a canteen in a hospital, working in a sandwich place, a job that I was miserable at. But the criterion was very low. So that was my first job. And my second job was in radio. I got into radio, even though I vowed my entire childhood and growing up and high school, I was not going to go into radio because my dad was in radio, my brother was in radio, and I just never saw it. 47 years later, after 47 years in radio, mostly as a morning person, I came to a point where I had to choose between all the great stuff with the Adventure Zone or continuing on in radio. And I decided I would devote myself to podcasting and D&D. So that was, I don't have a lot of fascinating jobs to talk about, but it was, I also have a great face for radio in case people are wondering about that. That was, I mean, I really did spend 3/4 of my adult life broadcasting facelessly to people.
Well, great. My next question is, what are you working on at the moment that you'd like to tell people about? Any current projects?
Let's see. We are working on our 6th graphic novel in the Adventure Zone series. It ought to be coming out in a few months, along with Carrie Peach, the folks from First Second Publishing with Macmillan are just terrific to work with. We've got that. We just kind of in the first lap of our live shows. We'll be doing live shows in Minneapolis, St. Paul, and Grand Rapids coming up in about a week and a half. Um, and I'm going to be DMing one of those shows.
Oh,
So
fun.
kind of looking forward to that. And we just started a new season in on Taz on the podcast. So we've got a whole new arc. We're getting ready to trot out, and you can find out all about that. All of this stuff at themcelroy.family. It's got all the info and probably even more than you want to know about us.
Well, we're going to find out more than we want to know today, I hope. Yeah, so if you want to find out what Clint is like as a dungeon master, you could check out those live shows or visit the site and get some examples of what it's like hanging out with Clint playing Dungeons and Dragons. My next question is, I know the answer to this, but for the benefit of the viewers, how many times have you been to D&D in a castle?
This will be my third coming up. I was there 3 years ago, and then took a year off, came back last year, had just a blast both times. I mean, some of the most memorable times of my life, really. And that's not just saying that. It was so much fun. It was great meeting people and making friends along those lines, and just passing along what is important to me about the
Mhm.
whole D&D world and
Mm.
RPGs, and it just is always so reaffirming and always so pleasant to see the benefits, seeing people come together as a team, seeing people cooperate, making friendships. Both of the games I ran, the parties, most of them stayed in touch, even though they're from all over the globe, and I find that remarkable.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you on that one. And you said some of your best memories are from the castle, and my next question is, tell me a top D&D memory of yours. So doesn't have to be from the castle, but uh, any
I
memory from D&D.
we there we did one of my favorite things, and it's a little thing, and I almost hate to, because I'll do it again. But my first campaign was a lot of fun in the fact that everybody but one person in the party was familiar with the Adventure Zone, and some of them knew the Adventure Zone better than I knew the Adventure Zone. And the first time I played, I had it was very loosely based on the world of the Adventure Zone. Um, but not so much that you had to know anything about it to succeed. Well, the one person was an American, and he was the only guy who had not heard of the Adventure Zone. I had a German, we had an Austrian, we had a couple of Brits, and so I always felt he had an unfair advantage until we got to one where they had to uh, do Mad Libs with classic lines from Shakespeare. So what I did was I took Shakespeare monologues and blanked out certain words, and they had to come up with them on the fly. And it was one of the funniest things I have ever seen in any D&D campaign, and they were so good. They were so brilliant at it that I just got a huge kick out of that. My games are usually, I mean, there's a lot of action, there's a lot of combat, but there is also a lot of puzzle solving. I like to play different kinds of games, and some of them might be like an improv game, or some of them might be a logic game. And so, you've got a lot of territory, a lot of material, and it kind of keeps it fresh and keeps it interesting. And not everybody is going to be a great combat person or a great puzzle solver or a great code breaker, but everybody's going to be great at something in there and good at other things. And that variety, I think, kind of makes it a lot more fun. I know it does for me. You'll have to ask them if it was good for them or not.
Yeah, I mean, they did all say they had a lot of fun at your table from the reviews we got back. Just fun hanging out. Just a fun time hanging out with Clint at the castle. And yeah, you are a bit of a theater guy. Might be an understatement about being a bit of a theater guy. Uh,
No, I'm a
and
big fan. Big fan. I came into community theater when, well, my kids got into it. I had done a little bit in high school and stuff, but then when my kids started getting involved in theater, I got involved in theater, ended up on uh, children's theater board, and parlayed that into directing a lot of shows, appearing in a lot of local shows. Taught for a while at Marshall University as an adjunct professor of theater, which was one of the proudest moments of my life. Directed shows at Marshall, and so yeah, and I'm involved with my in-laws and Justin and his lovely wife, Dr. Sydney, and a lot of other people in summer theater. We do a lot of summer theater here in a program called Huntington Area Regional Theater, Heart, and we do 2 shows every summer, and it's always cool. I'll probably die with grease paint on my face and treading the boards.
Love it. Love it. So I have a little game here I'm calling D20 question time. I have a D20 and I have a little rolling mat.
All right.
And I don't have a camera. I could probably just move my camera if you want to verify, but I've got 20 little silly questions for you. So you just, and I'm just going to roll the die, and see what number it hits me with. And that's the silly question you get to answer.
All right.
So you can just trust me on the number, I suppose.
I do.
But it
I
is
do.
17. You don't know what the questions are anyway, so I could just make anything up and say it was that number. But here we go. Number 17. 17. We got the one Hopper sent me while we were on before this call. That is hilarious. That's number 17. And this is a question dear to my heart. As you've been to the castle twice in the past, you may have noticed the enormous amount of cheese that is served at the castle, which is one of my favorite things about the castle, is that there's almost infinite cheese. And it's very good cheese because Britain is kind of the home of, it isn't the home of cheese. It came from the Romans, but that's another story. But they do make very good cheese. It is at least the home of cheddar and Stilton and many of my beloved favorite kinds of cheeses. And the question is, if you were, what kind of cheese would you be?
I would probably be Munster. Because I think it'd be a lot easier to make puns about that in the realm of D&D. Munster, monster, the Munsters. I would actually, if you ask my grandkids, they'd say I was Brie because I'm so soft and mushy.
Well, everybody loves Brie. Anybody doesn't love Brie, I don't trust them. They may be vegan and choose not to eat it, but it doesn't mean they don't love it. Yeah.
Camembert would be fun too. Camembert, just because, it's just a cool word to say. So.
Yeah. I agree. And I love that your answer is pun inspired. That's the priority. The priority is how many dad jokes can we make out of the answer to this question.
Yeah, you sign up for my table, you're going to get your fill.
So we're talking today because you are coming to D&D the Castle November 3rd to 7th, which will be in the UK in the northeast of England, in our 13th century fortress, where we like to gather and immerse ourselves in a fantastical, heroic environment and just have a great time. So I want to ask you to tell us about the game you have planned. I understand it is called The Bastard Princess, which is very intriguing. So tell us about the premise, and I'll ask you a few more questions about it as well. But let's just start with, what is the premise of this story that you're making for this campaign?
Tara, really all I got's the title. The Bastard Princess is set in a twin kingdoms, and they are huge, giant masses that are on the sea, and they are like these floating cities, like these trash continents that they talk about the trash coming together and forming. Well, this is, after centuries and centuries, the only 2 kingdoms that anybody knows about are these 2 kingdoms of Flotsam and Jetsam. And they're both very different, and they are separated by an expanse, but the world is so vast, and they haven't exploded much. So all they know are these two kingdoms. And the queen of this kingdom, it's a matriarchy in this kingdom, and she calls these adventurers in and tells them that she is dying and needs a successor. Um, and since it's a matriarchy, it's supposed to pass down to the female child. Well, um, she doesn't have a female child that the world knows about. And so it's going to pass to her son. She doesn't want that to happen. And so she will send this party of adventurers to find her missing daughter, the child she gave up years and years and years ago.
Mhm.
This girl doesn't even know that she is royalty, doesn't even know who she is or her destiny. And so she gets these adventurers to go out and find this princess. The thing is, her husband is not also glommed on to the fact that she has a child by somebody else.
Mm.
So they have to be kind of secretive about it because that the husband, the consort, is he's gonna try to stop him no matter how he can if he finds out about it. So that's kind of it. It's a quest to not only find her because nobody knows where she is. So they got to find her, they got to get to her, they got to rescue her if she needs rescuing. Don't want to give away too much, and bring her back safely so that she can ascend to a throne that she doesn't even know that she's in line for.
Okay, all right. Okay, so a little bit of political intrigue, a little bit of standard, possibly rescue the princess, but we don't know about rescuing. But a good quest to get going on. And where is this story going to be set? Is this a homebrew world or is this a classic setting? Have you thought about the
No,
setting?
it's just something I made up. That, and that's kind of the challenge. I got nothing against going with other modules or other worlds, but to me it was very important that these two kingdoms uh think they're the only place in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And because there's a very strong symbiotic relationship between the two different kingdoms that we'll find out as we proceed. I mean, one is kind of the elite, and one is kind of the non-elite. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's I wanted to play with that a little bit, the differences in the two. Um, and and I saw a documentary about these gigantic floating cities out in the middle of the oceans that where all the trash had come together. So it's not going to be that literal, but I've been kicking around the idea of flotsam and jetsam for a long time, and so I just kind of wanted to be kind of in control of
Right.
the environment as much as I could be, and still stick to D&D
Yeah.
rules and D&D ideas.
Yeah. It's a little bit of a closed system there because of that's how it works with islands, island nations.
That's it.
Um, that's the classic closed system of the island. And what kind of characters do you think will do well in this story?
I think gosh, I think just about any kind of character will do well. I mean, I like to figure out challenges without knowing the solution. And one of the great things that I love about D&D, about the Adventure Zone, the way we like to play the Adventure Zone and D&D in general, is the fact that there are so many ways to solve a problem, so many ways to get past um, something in your way, that really kind of plays to everybody's strengths. I like a balanced party, but I like a party that I always try to make sure that one player is not dominating the action, one player is not overcoming it, and until I get to know some more about their characters. Um, I really kind of keep it loosey goosey. I will tell you this, and you know this, there may be some humor involved, but as anybody who will tell you, like last year when we did our our whole crypto uh, cryptonomica version of looking for cryptids and bringing them back. There's a lot of scary stuff too, and that's kind of what I like about crafting these stories. Is I mean, yeah, there's humor, and yeah, oh, that's a funny name, and that's a funny situation, but they're not all funny situations. And when it gets down and dirty, and when it gets serious, there are serious consequences. And I think if you've got the consequences, the the trope of being funny in the face of danger, you know, can be really very eye opening and very illuminating about your characters. It also helps characters grow, I think. So
Mhm.
I want I like to share the burden. I like to have everybody to get to do their part and treat everybody fairly and go along with shared responsibilities.
Yeah. So you answered my next question a bit, which is about what the tone of the story is going to be. One way I like to think of this is if you could think of a movie or three that it would sit alongside very nicely. What kind of genre
Wow.
film types might it fit
You
in
know
with?
what? This sounds really corny and really a stereotype, but Princess Bride. I think where you have humor, but you've also got the politics, you've got the fighting, you've got the action in it. Um, maybe, God, I didn't even realize that Princess is in both titles. Oh well. But yeah, that kind of feel for a more contemporary, something like Ghostbusters, where you've got humorous characters and people throwing out lines, but at the same time, you've got some pretty high stakes and a lot of action. Um, but I think those are two pretty good examples.
Great. Yeah. I mean, who doesn't love The Princess Bride? So that's an
Have
appealing
fun
answer.
storming the castle. Yeah,
Oh, how many times that's been said as we head into our adventures.
yeah.
Yeah. So if you're watching this and you think you would like to play in a Princess Bride type of story, that's maybe m- Clint McElroy style. You can join us November 3rd to 7th at Indiana Castle in the UK, and the links and the QR code are there in the corner if you want to scan and check out the listings and check out the event. We're coming close to the end of our time together, Clint, but I do want to talk a little bit about the castle itself, which you've spoken about so kindly in the earlier parts of our conversation. The question I want to ask you is, how would you describe the Indiana Castle community?
Uh, Pretty amazing. I have made some terrific friends. Uh, uh, People that I met the first time, people that I met the second time, that I still talk to all the time. I stayed in touch with some of the players from the different tables, but there is just such camaraderie. But it's even more than that. There's a lot of support, um, and I think that comes down to not only the way that you guys run the Indiana Castle, but also the DMs you bring in. Um, Everybody really wants the people at the table to have an awesome time and get something out of it. Uh, have an experience that they couldn't have anywhere else. And a lot of the times it's the side things that are going on in the castle, the side quests, the other events, the archery, the ball, they I'm going to act like you aren't here. Folks, they work so hard to keep you entertained and happy and comfortable. that it's really mind blowing. And the food is awesome. The care you get, the attention to detail by everybody there, is amazing. And it will be, I guarantee you, it will be one of the best times you've ever had. And huge, huge opportunity for you to make lifelong memories.
Thank you so much, Clint. We definitely feel like you're a big part of that when you're at the castle in terms of creating a really wonderful, loving, joyful space for everybody to get to just be themselves and be celebrated for who they are and what they love and what they bring.
And also be somebody else, be a hero. That's one
And
of my
somebody
favorite
else.
things. And to be somebody else. It's nice to be able to take on that persona. But when you play a hero, your real heroic qualities come out, I always think. And so I appreciate you saying that. I think you guys only love me for my Mona Lisa costume that I wore last year at the dinner. But and I don't know if it's going to make a reappearance, but I never do. I try not to do the same gag twice.
Well, we did love the Mona Lisa costume last year. We, for those who don't know, the event that Clint was at happened over Halloween. So we had a Halloween costume party, and Clint entertained us very much with
I just
the
stood
coming.
against the wall. I just stood against the wall, and
That's all it takes, man. That's all it takes. So thank you for joining us today, Clint. Next week, we will be back revealing the Hardcore Dungeon Master for our D&D Castle USA events. So if that is intriguing to you and you want to find out about Hardcore Mode, which is 50% more D&D, then join us again next week for that. But in the meantime, you can come to dndinacastle.com to find out about at the November 3rd to 7th event that Clint is going to be at, to read about his campaign, about him as a dungeon master, and about everything that you can enjoy at D&D in a Castle. So Clint, I'm going to ask you to take us out in our final minute by inviting the viewers to come and join your campaign in November.
You come across a room lit mysteriously. Laid out on the table are dice, snacks, lots of snacks, tea cakes. No, don't get me started. There's inspiring music playing, and an elderly man looks up from the end of the table and says, "Roll for initiative." And we're off.
Exciting. Can't wait. Cannot wait for that all to happen. I look forward to seeing you there, Clint, and I look forward to seeing the rest of you at a castle sometime soon or here on the internet for a chat. So take care, everybody, and we will see you soon.
Bye. See ya.